thank you for being here at this meeting of the Governing Board of Maricopa Unified School District. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:02. Roll call. Jim Irving.
Here.
Leslie Burnett.
Here.
Patty Coutre.
Present.
Tori Anderson.
Present.
And Scott Bartle is here. We are fortunate to have a whole bunch of youngsters here today. Awesome. Do we have any students that would like to volunteer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Come on. Come on.
I see someone being volunteered. Come on up.
That's funny.
How cute. There he goes.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Come on, Apollo, you can do it. He can.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Adoption of agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Call to the public. Is there anyone who'd like to address the board? Seeing no one, we'll move on to superintendent's report. Dr. Conley?
I apologize. Good evening. I'm Dr. Conley. I'm your Maricopa Deputy Superintendent. President Bartle, Vice President Anderson, members of the board. As you see, we have a full house tonight, and I have to say this is so much better than our meeting a couple weeks ago when it was only us. Not that I don't like it just being us, but this is so much better. So thank you all for being here. I do have several items on the superintendent's report, so going through that. An update on Desert Wind Middle School Samsung Award. As you have seen, I know, yay, we're always very proud of all of our schools, and especially when they're recognized nationally, and also when they win money to bring back to the schools for our children, so that's even better. We do have a student representative along with the two teachers, Mr. Rusinello and Mr. Lang, along with Principal Veras, traveling to Washington, D.C. to be recognized and receive the award. And I do know that that date is April 17th through April the 19th. Samantha Corrales, who is the student that will be going, is Samantha here tonight? Okay. I will be providing you some information because on your April 4th meeting, when you also look at your governing board goals, we will need to approve out-of-state travel for her. I do apologize for the timing of it, but because it was recognition and we couldn't plan a little bit better, we fall out of those timelines. So we are very excited, and we look forward to their presentation when they return, because I'm sure they'll have many things to say. At this time, I would like to recognize 3 of our teachers. And so when I call your name, if you would please come up. Miss Bernadette Rusinello. Mr. Josh Boland. And Mr. John McGuire. Bernadette is a teacher at Maricopa High School, and she currently teaches marketing, 1 and 2, AP US Government and Politics, We the People Student Leadership, and AP Language and Composition. Those are some preps to get ready for, so way to go. Courses taught in previous: AP Literature and Composition, AP US History, American Arizona History, 9th grade English 1, 2, English Honors 2, English 3, American Literature, and Creative Writing and Drama. We've had the pleasure of having Bernadette on our Maricopa Unified staff for 11 years. Bernadette, as well as the other two fine gentlemen standing before you, are superstars of our district.
Yes.
So thank you very much. I'm going to be giving Bernadette a certificate and a gift card in recognition for your hard work. Bernadette is also a wife and a mother. She has 4 children, 2 of which are toddlers. So hats off to you, Miss Bernadette. John McGuire. John McGuire is a 4th grade teacher at Butterfield Elementary. And not only does he teach 4th grade, he's a member of our SAT committee, which is our student assistant team, academic league coach for 4th grade, and also a member on the site council. He has been married to his wife for over 13 years and have 2 sons, 16 and 7. He also is a former Navy man and is a Persian Gulf War veteran. During the military, he primarily was in law enforcement, and he worked with canine operations. He also, while he was serving overseas, was a DARE facilitator, and those of you that are familiar with DARE, it's drug and education, there we go. Sorry. Facilitator, and that was in Naples Elementary School. He did go back to school after being in the Navy to be an educator, and we are very glad that he did. He knows how to build relationships with students. So thank you very much, Mr. McGuire. You also have a gift certificate. And last and certainly not least, Josh Bolin. He is a 1st grade teacher at Saddleback Elementary. He is, first of all, I have to say, Josh, teaching 1st grade, anytime, and I've seen the spectrum of classes being involved, K-12, the lower you get, in my opinion, the harder it gets. So kindergarten, I would say, is very challenging. 1st grade is just a step up. So way to go, Josh. We really appreciate that. He is on the instructional leadership team. And on a side note, I can say that Josh is one of those people that anytime that I need input and I need an honest answer of how the teachers feel, what the concerns are, I know I can call Josh, and he's going to be very honest with me, and I appreciate that. He's been with our district 7 years, and he is married to one of our other teachers, Kelly Bolin, and they have 2 children. Carson is 11 and Peyton is 8.5 months old. So thank you very much. Here's your certificate and your gift. You do need to scoot together for the portrait. As you see before you, you have 3 superstars, and we are going to continue this tradition each quarter. So this is our recognition for our 3rd quarter, so our 4th quarter teachers are, I'm sure, anticipating being recognized. They will have their portraits on our website and have their bios attached as well. So thank you very much, and thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I know how hard teaching is, and I appreciate it. Woo! I love nights like tonight. It's all about the recognition. This is what's great. Okay, so our next recognition, we are going to recognize our current National Board Certified Teachers and the candidates. So when I call your name, and I'm going to get my list, so pardon me for one moment. I don't want to miss anyone. I am going to ask Dr. Robinson to go ahead and come on up. Thank you, sir. Right now, in our district, we have our National Board Certified teachers. So if you are in the audience, please come on up, and we do want to recognize you. Ms. Margaret Bryant, Ms. Tina Leach, Ms. Katie Honeycutt, and Dr. Jen Robinson. I am going to go ahead and hand it over to Dr. Robinson to explain the process of National Board Certified Teachers.
Thank you, Dr. Conley. Thank you, Mr. Bartle, and the board. My name is Jennifer Robinson. I'm an instructional coach at Santa Cruz Elementary. The National Board process is a voluntary process. Teachers put their practice up against National Board standards. The National Board standards are built around 5 core propositions. Teachers are committed to students and their learning. Teachers know the subjects they teach and how to teach those subjects to students. Teachers are responsible for managing and monitoring student learning. Teachers think systematically about their practice and learn from experience, and teachers are members of learning communities. This process can take 1 to 3 years, and teachers who go through the process can expect to spend 200 to 400 additional hours analyzing and reflecting on their teaching practice. They're required to facilitate student learning in small group, whole group, student-to-student, teacher-to-student interactions. It's supported by video recording and student work samples. At the heart of National Board Certification is teachers looking at how their classroom practice, their teaching practice impacts student learning. There are 9 candidates currently going through the process, and if it's okay, I'd like to recognize those teachers, because 5% of teachers across the country ever go through the National Board process, and I think this is a big deal to recognize them. Becky Rausch is an instructional coach at the high school. Heidi Fawcett is an instructional coach at the middle school. Deb Wright is a special education teacher at MES. Tracy Ragetz is a 3rd grade teacher at Santa Cruz. Oh dear, where's the?
Mrs. Coles.
Karen Spillman is a middle school teacher at Maricopa Wells. Deb Coles, a 2nd grade teacher at Santa Cruz. Tracy Carey, PE teacher at Santa Cruz. Angie Ebner, a 2nd grade teacher at Santa Cruz. And Amberly Westover, a 1st grade teacher at Butterfield. Thank you.
Dr. Connolly, I know some of them in the audience. Can they stand, please?
I would like that. If you are a National Board candidate, please stand up.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm looking for a piece of paper. Sorry
And
about
as
that.
you look for that, just a quick comment. I think it's understood by everyone in this room, but can never be stated enough that the teachers are what makes our district. And I applaud everyone who was just recognized, and thank you, Dr. Conley, for incorporating this and adding this to our agenda. Well done, everybody. Appreciate all your work.
On a side note, with our National Board Certified Teacher and the candidates, we really need to recognize the leader, and that is Dr. Jen Robinson. She's very, very passionate. As you know, I recently came back home from Philadelphia after being part of an amazing committee at a national level. And one of our conversations that we had as members sitting on that committee revolved around the National Board Certified process and just what they said about how it teaches you to really reflect on your teaching and how to be a better teacher. Because, and you hear me say this continually, I can stand up here and try to sell you the best program, but it is building our professional practice within each and every one of our teachers that makes the difference. And so this is one of those amazing programs that does exactly that. It helps our students. So thank you for spending hours, and I know that it does take away from your family time, but I think you also know going through the practice that it's one of those that there's so many results at the end of that. So again, thank you. Our next recognition, we are going to recognize our Maricopa Unified District Art Walk winners. And I haven't done this publicly, but I do want to recognize Board Member Patty Coutre. In December, she came in to the office, and I love each and every one of the board members. And she brought to me the idea of doing this art walk. And you could see that her excitement, and she had just returned from a conference. And so it was with her idea that we started. And with that start, then came along Mr. Ventrone and Mr. King. So if you gentlemen would come on up. They are our high school art gurus, and anytime that I need some relief and maybe even some comic relief, these are the gentlemen to go to. They are fantastic. Another reason why our high school is absolutely amazing. So first of all, thank you so much for the time that you spent getting this organized. I am going to, if you would assist me in presenting the certificates. I wish I could give them something absolutely amazing, because it's that underlying foundational work that so oftentimes goes unrecognized, and they're planning in anywhere from, are we going to have music to cookies to where are we going to hang everything? It didn't happen overnight, and it's because of their amazing planning. So thank you very much. At the high school level, we would like to recognize, and students, I have a pet peeve of mine. If I pronounce your name wrong, you need to tell me, because as a former teacher, it really irritates me when I pronounce your name wrong. So I'm sorry if I do, but please correct me. Priscilla Vidal. I hope I said it right. So Priscilla not only receives a plaque, and then so she has one to share with her high school for the year. She has a certificate to add to her portfolio. And on the back, she also has a gift certificate. And I also heard that there are some movie tickets to our new theater that's going to be in town. They're not in there yet, but they are going to be. So thank you so very much. And Priscilla, don't go too far, because I know that our photographers in the room will want a group picture. Satara Miller, Maricopa Wells Middle School. Satara. And again, she has a plaque along with a gift certificate and one to put in her future portfolio. And last but certainly not least, Pima Butte Elementary, Rylan Gray. I thought Mr. Ryland was in first grade, so congratulations, Ryland. Ryland! This was a very hard decision, but looking at all of the artwork, these students definitely need to be recognized, and we do look forward to our future second annual art walk. So picture time.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it's just.
It's clear a new tradition has been born, Mrs. Coutray. Thank you for your initiative on
Well, after
that.
this, I move we adjourn.
This is so fun. I know. It's nice. Yeah. This is a nice evening. I feel like I'm.
That's yogurt.
Yeah. Just, you know.
How can we top this?
Yeah.
This is great.
To get back to business will be difficult.
I know, I have a wonderful camera at work.
Are we finished? Awesome, thank you.
That's cool.
Okay, now for the boring stuff, right?
Yeah.
Are those art, is that art going to be displayed somewhere, those 3 pieces?
I know that Rylan and Satara's will be, and we need to get Priscilla's permission. It's still on the wall. I know that oftentimes, especially our high school students, get very territorial with their artwork, and honestly, I don't blame them getting ready to share using their art portfolios. So I will need to get with Mr. Vinchon and Mr. King and see if she's willing to do that.
We're just in their offices, each school office or something for a while.
They're great. It's been so fun to brighten our district walls
Displayed here.
with a little drab.
Really? Okay, great. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Educational Advisory Committee is next. This is a new committee. We met first in December, and it initially was set up to do some community input for our secondary restructuring. As I stayed further into the position and learned more about my position and the needs for the district, it became very evident that we needed a vehicle that we could pull community members, business owners of Maricopa, parents, and students together to gain community input to address some of our major issues and initiatives. So with that, we started our Educational Advisory Committee, and we met over spring break, and we had a great turnout and enjoyed breakfast. And as always, when we get a group of dynamic people together, we have great ideas that are spurred. The foundation for the group at that time was really based off some recent events, first of all, that occurred at the high school, because that really brought to fruition some of the major issues that we need to address as a community. And so 3 of the issues, we have an anti-bullying campaign, the need for cultural diversity training, and also an avenue to be able to reach out to our grandparents who are raising our children in our school. So we met together, we got into groups, and we have started developing some ideas. We will be meeting again on April the 12th and establishing events and action plans and putting leaders in place. And she doesn't know this, but Chelsea Gross, who stood up in our community forum, and she is here, I see her, and she is going to share tonight with you the Project Unity. But I am going to also ask her to present at our Educational Advisory Committee on April the 12th to share her plan to see how we can help get it moving and get it implemented into community-wide. And it will be an ongoing committee, and it will address the needs as needs arise. So that really is the vehicle to use. Questions? Awesome. Okay. Please. Before I move on, I do need to recognize someone else, and that is the Maricopa Education Foundation, and I apologize. Mr. Farah, would you please come on up? I know. We have a group of community members that are part of the Maricopa Education Foundation, and they are the ones that pulled together for donations for the community art walk, what the gift certificates were. So first of all, I apologize. But second, thank you so much for the support that you've given our teachers in our district to help our students in the classrooms. So it is definitely not taken for granted. So thank you. Last year they had the annual teacher banquet, and it was in May, and we are going to go ahead and they're scheduling that for May the 12th, and it will be at Maricopa Wells Middle School as it was last year. So thank you very much. This is going to be a quick one. I just need to give you an update on the budget process. We met last week, and I had the pleasure of meeting via phone conference. But I do know that our principals went through a zero-based budget exercise. So what that did is it looked at what the budget would look like with it basically being 10% cut, and came up with scenarios, and they went to their teachers, to their site councils, and gained that recommendation. They were able to come back and share with the group, and the leadership team knows this, and I know that the committee knows this as well. The one thing that we're striving to do this year is give everyone a voice. And so our teachers, their voice is through their principal, and that expectation with the principals are that then they're sharing that with leadership and district. And then with the committee members, that they have the budget committee to be that voice for them. Once we have our recommendations in place, they will be recommending those to the deputy superintendent, and then I will be giving those to the governing board. We do have our agenda planned for the next meeting, and we'll be sending that out to our committee members. All right, one quick introduction. I'm going to ask Tyler Lovell to stand up. He is our junior at Maricopa High School, and he is our vice president. Yay. Now you can clap. And as vice president, I approached Ms. Rusinello, who is in charge of our student council, and the idea, again, I love all your ideas, was to get a voice of our students. And so Tyler is going to serve as the representative for our student voice. We're hoping that we can utilize his real world and be able to apply that to questions that we have. So he is going to serve as our ex officio school board member, and our desire is that he will serve starting April 11th. And then as he moves on into his senior year, then we will also hopefully pull in the vice president for next year and continue this trend. So we will be, board, looking at a policy to make sure that this stays in place. And we're very excited to have Tyler, so thank you. On a bragging note, Tyler applied for the Arizona Association of Student Council, and out of 75 candidates, 8 go into the top 8, and he was one of those top 8. So great job. All right, Project Unity. Chelsea, are you ready to come up and share? And as she's walking up, you guys also know how passionate I am about making sure that we have student voice, and I am thrilled that we're finally getting there.
Hello, I'm Chelsea Gross. I go to Maricopa High School, and this year I'm a junior.
So if you don't mind, I'll get right started. Recently, our community was subjected to a terrible event. On the morning of March 6, 2012, students and staff arrived on campus to see broken windows, inappropriate graffiti covering the walls, and what could be considered crushed dreams. For 5 years at least, we've been working so hard to get a better image in hopes for bringing kids back. Concerned parents that had never been sending their kids to our schools were finally taking the chance. Now it may be abruptly taken away because parents and kids will feel uncomfortable with our school district. So the plan is, we as a community need to unite to show we have it under control. The destruction may be cleaned up, but there is still a much bigger concern. Our image is in jeopardy, and we need to fix it. The plan is this: invite clubs such as DECA, Youth Council, STUCO, and others to create ways to improve Maricopa's image. Also, we will invite other organizations from the community to assist with finding solutions. United we stand, divided we fall. Let's show that our community may get knocked down, but when that happens, we come back stronger. Any questions?
Any questions or comments for Chelsea?
Thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate
We
it.
applaud your initiative. Well done.
That does conclude my superintendent's report. Thank you.
Number 4, Governing Board Member Activity Reports.
I went to student-led conferences tonight for my kids. It was very enlightening.
I would like to thank Mr. Barajas and the team at Desert Wind Middle School. They were kind enough to invite me to participate in their awards banquet today. So it was my pleasure to give them a valuable lesson in the saying, you get what you pay for. So, but it was fun. Enjoy being part of it. Information items. Dr. Conley.
Thank you. President Bartle, members of the Governing Board, I'm Tom Beckett, the Director of Human Resources. We have tonight with us a representation from HMA Public Relations. They'll be presenting a mid-year report to you, and I believe you have that information in your packet. Abby Fink and Kendra Schultz will be coming for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beckett. Mr. President, members of the board, as Tom mentioned, we provided to you a report of our public relations activities for the period of November 16, 2011 through the March 16, 2012. Basically, what we provided to you was a recap of the media relations, the story placements that we did on your behalf, on behalf of the district, and the various activities that you've been doing here. When we created our proposal to you, we included in that document a measurement tool where we could take a look at the types of articles that we were getting placed and assign a monetary number to them based on the tone, the content, whether those key messages that we had identified were included in those articles, and that spreadsheet is included here. Quite an impressive amount of activity, and we appreciate Dr. Conley and her encouragement of all the principals and the teachers, reminding them to send their one-sheets to us, because we now have more than enough information to be able to go out there and share, which is great. It's always nice to have a lot of activities to choose from. Over the course of that, slightly over 4 months, we generated in essence of 5.6 million impressions in the various media outlets that we worked on your behalf. So those were everything from the traditional newspapers, magazines, online opportunities as well. One of the other activities that we took notice of over the course of our time on your behalf is really how we were going to maximize our presence in the social space. That's not only our presence on Facebook and Twitter, but the media outlets that also participate very strongly in the digital space. We provided to you a case study which really outlined the types of things that we were doing on your behalf. So yes, we are seeing an increase in our participation and our engagement on Facebook and on Twitter. We're seeing the posts that we are putting out there being reposted by other educational organizations, not only here locally in the Maricopa area, statewide, as well as nationally. So we are starting to see our recognition being shared by other interested individuals as it relates to education. We have also been able to highlight some of the things that we've been doing here through some business publications. AZ Biz Now has committed to running a bylined article on a regular basis written by someone here at the district. Dr. Conley has authored a couple of those already. We have a few more scheduled before the end of the calendar, or end of the school year. So we really have been able to take what we're doing here and enhance that presence in the social space. And what we do know, based on the way the media market is some of those things that live online really live on forever. So we've been able to take what we would do in a more mainstream media and provide access to that in a much bigger space. So I believe the types of things that we're doing, and certainly Kendra's going to talk about what the last month has been for us, which has been very exciting out here from a media perspective. But we've really been able to take what we're doing here and really move that message mark from just talking about locally here in the Maricopa area what we're doing, but expand that beyond the boundaries, which was a primary goal of the efforts when we started, was to make sure that Maricopa Unified was recognized as a leader in education, not only here in the community, but outside. Are there any questions or any comments on that report? I'd be happy to answer them at this time. All right, thank you. Then I will turn it over to Kendra for the monthly update.
Thank you, Bobby.
Hello, Mr. President, members of the board. Good to see you. As you know, we had some big things happening out here lately. Desert Wind Middle School was the grand prize winner in the Samsung Solve for Tomorrow contest. We were able to get some great coverage. As you know, Channel 12 came out last week. In addition to the Republic, we got a great story in the Valley and State section, and got some great coverage online at EVB Live. So it's been amazing, very much well-deserved, and it's been great to work with the Desert Wind teachers and the students there. It's been a great process, and the media really enjoyed it as well. We also worked on everything MUSD is doing to celebrate the arts throughout the month. So be at the Art Walk, the Performing Arts Center grand opening, which is tomorrow, and just doing some other efforts there on behalf of the high school, talking to the city, getting dignitaries there to attend, to do the ribbon cutting tomorrow, and to also get local media there as well. In addition, we worked on the Elementary's Academic League and just other media opportunities that kind of comes in when media contact us to see what you guys have going on, be it the Republic, the Action Runner, what have you. Social media-wise, we've done everything from posting about SATs and the mother-son dance at Pima Butte to the coverage we had last week. So it's been a really full month, and we've gotten a lot done, so it's been really successful on our end, we think. And you can let me know if you have any questions about what we've done recently.
No, the article was good in the Republic, I did.
Good. Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. The next informational item is going to be presented by a group of our teachers. And if I try to recognize each and every person on the team, I know I would forget someone. So what I would like to do is, if the teachers that serve on our evaluation design team, if you are here, would you please stand up? Thank you. And the administrators, please stand up that have helped. Big round of applause, because they're... Again, as we talk about the ever-changing world of education, this is one of those ever-changing items. And we have a group of very dedicated teachers that have volunteered their time to make sure that not only are we in compliance with the legislature and the laws that has been passed, but to make sure that we have a tool in place that is fair and equitable and also in compliance with the law. There has been a lot of hard work, lots of discussion, and I am going to hand it over to the team who will be presenting tonight. Miss Jane Tiff. You are a wonderful teacher from Saddleback. 4th grade? Oh, I got it right. 4th grade. If you wouldn't mind coming on up. Mr. Charles Allman, who also serves on the team. He is an English social studies teacher at Maricopa High School. And Christine Dickinson, who is a teacher at Maricopa Elementary School, 5th grade reading. I got it right. I will hand it over to them.
President Bartle, members of the board, I'm Jane Tift. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Saddleback, and I'm a member of this team, and I have been since this team first started last summer. It's been an interesting undertaking, and we think it's really important that not only you, but the public as well, understand that the process that we're going through is as a result of our desire to be, as a state of Arizona, to receive funds from Race to the Top. And so as a result, a bill had to be passed to include data in the teacher evaluation tool. Once that was done, then the Department of Education in Arizona was directed to develop a team that would establish a framework for this tool. And they did that, and in the process of doing that, they had a team of stakeholders, from teachers to administrators, principals, all of the stakeholders involved developed this framework. Then, in turn, the districts have been presented with this framework and the guidelines that are involved in that, and we, in turn, are working to implement this and develop this tool and what it will look like in each of our districts. And honestly, from what I've learned in each of the districts, it's going to look slightly different. It's not going to be exactly the same. We've attended state meetings, which is another thing that the Department of Education has led the local education associations in guidance in how this should look. We've attended 2. We have 1 more to attend, and in the process, this is going to be an ongoing process. It's going to be, as we develop over the course of 5 years, we will see it change somewhat. It's going to be a challenge. It's a lot of hard work. And the team is really dedicated to seeing that this is done and that it's done fairly, and it is going to be challenging, but we see not only are we working with one another within this district, but we're also working with people in the Department of Education, and also we're making connections with other local education associations, so I think it's going to be a very beneficial process, and it's really a challenge. As a teacher, I'm enjoying it, and I think that we all are on the team. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Dickinson. She's going to share some more.
Thank you, Mrs. Tiff. Mr. Bartle, President Bartle, members of the board, our team, our committee is comprised of many stakeholders, primarily teachers, both Track A and Track B teachers from elementary, middle school, and high school levels. We have elementary, middle A and B teachers, as well as high school A and B teachers. We have our Director of Curriculum and Instruction. We have our Deputy Superintendent, the Director of Human Resources. We have 3 of our elementary principals, as well as the Director of CTE and High School Administrator, as well as the Recruiting Special Education. So we have many stakeholders involved in this committee, and it's been a real joy thus far to see the process. For an update from our summit that was attended, Charles will take over from here. Thank you.
President Bartle, members of the board. My name is Charles Allman. I'm a high school social studies teacher, have been for 5 years. They mentioned before that it's a 5-year plan, and that's true for everyone across the state. I mean, it's going to be something that we're going to have to revise and review on an ongoing basis. We went to the Department of Education Summit and focused on how to develop and also how to review assessments with regard to student growth, not necessarily proficiency, but growth to be used in the teacher evaluations. And there's an upcoming summit on April 29th, I'm sorry, the 30th. And here, we're meeting in July and using Title II funds to develop B assessments for B teachers, using Galileo for now, but in the future, looking forward to performance assessments and portfolio assessments and things of that nature. Thank you. turning it over to you.
Rick Nielsen, CTE Director. One thing I did want to clarify real quick is that the state has come up with this naming structure of A teachers and B teachers, and so we're kind of stuck with that. A teachers are those that have AIMS subjects, so our math teachers, our English teachers at the secondary level, and then our elementary teachers because they're teaching all subjects. So those are the teachers that have a direct impact on AIMS. All the other teachers, like our CTE teachers, our art teachers, our PE teachers, and so forth, those are considered the B teachers. Do they impact AIMS? Absolutely. But do they have a direct impact that we can measure? Kind of hard. Okay? So leading into then the data review, the state has mandated that at least 40% of the total evaluation of a teacher effectiveness come from data as to the growth of the students and the proficiency of the students. We have chosen to use two assessments, one mandated by the state being AIMS, which will be replaced eventually by PARC. That's why in your briefing you're seeing the two. PARC is going to be coming in the school year 2014, and that's part of a nationwide Common Core initiative. We'll be using both of those to measure. Initially, for year one, the AIMS scores that an A student or an A teacher achieves will equal 6% of their total evaluation weight. Over the course of the 5-year plan, that will gradually increase, decrease, so it will go down to 5%, because we're going to be bringing in what we're calling a value-added survey of the stakeholders that are involved with that teacher's progress. We're also going to be using the Galileo assessment tool that we already have in place. Galileo has been working very hard to develop for not just Maricopa, but all the school districts that they serve, because we're all having to do this. Legitimate pre-assessments, so at the beginning of a school year, before a whole lot of instruction takes place, we're able to find out at what level the students are at. So that's going to be their baseline for that year. Then at the end of the year, they'll take a post-assessment. And so this assessment will show us how much growth took place with that student. When we total all that together, it'll show us how much a class has grown, how much a school has grown, etc. Those weights for the first year are going to be 30%, because we felt that that's more reflective of the overall growth of the teachers. Then as we move into the third year, that will be reduced down to a total of 20%, again supplemented by those value-added surveys that we'll be doing. Let's see, I think that's, growth points. With those Galileo assessments, we're not necessarily looking at percentages. We're looking at how many points a child is actually going to progress along the timeline or knowledge line over the course of the year. And for the first year of the study, or the plan, it will be 2 growth points for each student over the course of a year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot when you look at what all is pertained in those tests. When we get to the second year, it will equate to 3 points. They have to show growth of 3 points. And then during the third and fourth year, it'll be 4 points. And then the fifth year, it'll be 5 points. Any questions on that?
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the Galileo, after going to many, many parent-teacher conferences over the years, I know that we've really focused on the elementary level, using that evaluation tool in the classroom, and I think we've really done a good job at the elementary level. I know at the secondary level, we're still trying to work that process out because we focused more at elementary. Is that a good? I mean,
that's a good summary. We started with the elementary schools first, and finding the right way to utilize those assessments at the high school has been a little tricky, because of the amount of time it takes the students away from their instruction.
Right.
And so we think we've got it down now, so that next year we'll really be able to just kind of sail right through it.
Okay. I mean, that was my question, because the secondary, because my son is in middle school, the test that was given at the beginning of the year, it's now third quarter, it's a different test. So, you know, he was up here, And now because it's a different test, it's a very different score. And so I'm wondering, are we going to work out those kinks before we start using that 30% to decide?
Okay. What it is there's two different types of tests. The tests that you're referring to are what we're calling the benchmark tests. And these are the tests that the teachers are using to collect data on how well the students are progressing through the standards. And that, yes, there was a philosophy change from the test that was done at the beginning of the year to the subsequent benchmarks. The pre and post tests that we're talking about are completely different. And what they do is they go down and they assess, let's say it's for a fourth grade assessment. There'll be third grade standards on that test, the full complement of the fourth grade standards, and then some of the fifth grade standards.
Right.
So you're seeing this whole spectrum, and that's the test that will not change as far as the content over the course of the year. Whereas some of the benchmarks, they did not include all of the standards, and then they came back and added some more. We're very well aware of that. But that doesn't change the fact that that's very good data for the teachers to see how well the students are mastering the material. But for the evaluation, it will be the pre and post tests,
that was my question.
not
I just want
the
to make
benchmarks.
sure that it's
Right.
that
So
it's
it truly will,
consistent.
right?
Okay.
Truly will be.
That was my question.
We'll know where they are at the beginning of the year. That's why I said probably will take place in the third week of school, because we do, as a community, we still have a lot of transition those first 10 days of school. People coming from other parts of the country where they start later and stuff. And also, too, with that, I should say, that cohort of students that take the test in the fall are the only students that the teacher will be measured in the spring.
Right.
All the students will take the test, but their growth as far as their evaluation will only be those students that took the pretest.
And that's what will be attached to the teacher's evaluation?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to clarify that. So I just want to clarify that secondary is still working through some of those
Yes.
issues
And I
because
think,
we focused on elementary.
right, and I think that we've gotten through those kinks and now have figured out the best way to administer the tests.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Hey, Krista. I guess we're done. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Just to wrap everything that they've stated, it's very important that we keep going back to our best practices. And when I say best practices, it's just what I stated before. Doing what we know, research-based, what data can prove over and over what's good for our kids and how we can continually increase their student achievement. The evaluation piece of that is an extremely important component. This week during leadership, we are starting to front load for this next year. And when we say front load, we're really pushing those best practices. So our promising practices for the remaining of this year, since I've become deputy superintendent, as we front load for this summer and this next year, we look at the evaluation. And we are going back to the Charlotte Danielson Enhancing Professional Practice Framework and to use it with fidelity. Because when you use a piece of research with fidelity, then you're going to get better results. The expectations are clear, and teachers know what to do, administrators know what to do, and then we can build everything around that. So when we talk about our teacher evaluation and our administrator evaluation, know that we are basing this on the best instructional practices of what we're seeing in those classrooms. And we are taking into account those classrooms that may be heavily weighted with some different populations as far as some of our ELL, our English language learner students, students that do require specific services in their education. And taking into account that they may not have that excelling score, but their growth might have been even bigger than those students without those challenges. So the state has started to recognize that, and of course we have. On a national level, as you know, I just returned back from Philadelphia, and this is a conversation that's not only occurring in Maricopa Unified, This is a conversation that is occurring nationwide. And we had the conversation in leadership this last week to really refocus us as what are we doing for Maricopa and how are we reaching our students? Because again, in the end, it's those promising practices that are going to make a difference, building those relationships.
I think just to add to that, I think you've done an outstanding job not only working in the evaluation, but what I've seen is you're starting to develop professional development to actually go into the classroom and teach the teachers, building upon where there might be a shortcoming. And so I think what I heard the teachers really be happy about is not just somebody saying, well, we're down here, but actually going in and showing them how to reach the best practice as opposed to just the traditional, you need to get better. So I think that's been a really important part of what you guys have done.
It's creating a roadmap, and it's creating a roadmap that is clearly communicated to all of our constituents, not only our governing board, not only our leadership, but our teachers and our students.
Right.
And the clearer that we have those goals, and I know that we talk about the governing board goals and the educational goals and them meshing together, and they absolutely do. So it is, in essence, a strategic plan. It's that plan of that roadmap that we can continually refer back to, and it's based on what we know works.
Right.
I do have one recognition, and she oftentimes is our silent, she's my silent backup, and that's Krista Roden. She has spent hours. She has spent hours not only on our evaluation, but getting us prepared for our Common Core. Again, at that national level, we sometimes think that we're in Little Maricopa and we're not staying up with our trends. We're not only staying up, we're far ahead. So thank you for always being detail-oriented, Krista.
Thank you, Dr. Conley. Thank you, Mr. Roush, for the monthly financial report. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Roush? No? Mr. Roush, talk to us about bond authorization legislation, please.
Thank you. President Bartle, members of the board. I sent you some information on House Bill 2405, and as of last week, it was going through its committees with a lot of support, especially the school districts that had priorly passed bonds, but because the assessed valuation was lowered, that they couldn't sell bonds, which Maricopa Unified School District is one, and that's $6 million of priorly voter-authorized bonds that, because of the assessed valuation going down, the district can't sell those. So the legislation has been supported by those districts and other educational entities to reestablish that through legislation. It made it through a couple committees, and it's now really in negotiations with the governor. And although we're not hearing real positive things about that right now, we have nothing. There was a governor's meeting yesterday with school districts and superintendents, and we haven't heard the outcome of that. Oftentimes, there's a lot of negotiations behind doors, but that's kind of what's going on right now. We know that right now that again, the legislature is scheduled to, and it rarely finishes, but April 17th, the legislature usually goes on and on and on, clear into June, even for budget purposes. But we'll know more, and I can keep you in touch with that information. So.
Mr. Roush, sorry,
Yes.
President Bartle,
Please.
question. Did you look through our, because we're getting ready to do our legislative advocacy, did you look through any of that to see if any of that we can help support and give ASBA some ideas? Are any of these that will help with that?
I don't think so at this point. I think it might be way after the fact. I think this is kind of probably within the next week or two. Well, yeah. Overall, the thing that I think can help the most is the thing that affects the classroom the most. I think we know it's the direct teaching, and the more that we can support the teachers in the classroom, I think the more than that we can improve overall every student achievement and every student as far as their educational environment. That particular bill, again, it's just not really part of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 7E, discuss and select a legislative action agenda item from a list provided by the Arizona School Boards Association. Would our delegate extraordinaire, Mrs. Coutre, lead us in this discussion?
Certainly. Basically what this is we have the opportunity as a school district to submit a proposal to the legislative committee. We all have the action agenda. I don't know if y'all had enough time to read through it.
Yes.
But if we want to, there's a form that we'd have to fill out. Basically, this has to be turned in by the 16th of April, and it will be submitted to the legislative committee. They review all of these submissions, whether they're brand new ones or just even changing the words of their current legislative agenda. If the committee decides to support it, they put it on their consent agenda, or they choose not to support it, and in that case, districts are allowed to have their representatives there to seek support from other districts. We've tried to do this in the past regarding the busing, and I failed miserably.
Well, it was the first time.
It was the first time. And we didn't write we had not written the proposal. The proposal was done by another school district. We do have the opportunity, and I would encourage us, at least with the busing, because it seems to be something that is recurring in our district, to write something up. I don't believe we'll get the support from the legislative committee at this point, but we do know that Senator Fillmore? Representative Fillmore had written a bill trying to get the busing miles changed from 20 to 15. I think that we could write up a proposal that would be to seek and support legislation to change those mileages. I don't know what the ARS statute is, to 15. Unless there's an IGA between the two school districts. But this is something that I would like to bring to our goal setting. This will give us another week, that if we want to make copies of the proposals, we can make copies and write our own up and then bring them all together. If there's any others that the board feels that we should address and send to the legislative committee. This is not choosing your top 10. That comes in the fall. This is just putting together proposals for the legislative committee.
So you want us to come at the part of our work session?
I think because it is part of our goals that we have set in the past, and to be honest, I really haven't had a chance to. I wanted to get some more information before I wrote mine up.
Because there's another one about the teacher 2%.
Yes, and I don't know if any of you have downloaded. I did print it up. This is the legislative brief for the legislative session right now. It has all the bills, who wrote them, and there may be information in here that you may want to get additional for this proposal. So, I mean, that's what I would suggest at this point, is to bring everything together at the next meeting.
In the taxation and revenue section on Roman numeral 4, number 23, on page 11.
Yeah, I have that circled.
It's number 23 on page 11. It states, advocate for legislation that requires an annual revision of travel mileage reimbursement rates.
Yes.
Would we be better served just to wrap our arms around this one that's already established than to...
That's what
I don't think that has to do with the busing.
Well, it's the travel mileage reimbursement rates.
But that is like for...
It's not the same thing?
I think that's like for reimbursement of like employee travel.
Some trips.
That's not busing. That's like if you were to go and drive to Flagstaff for a conference, you then turn it in for reimbursement. That's what that is about.
And they want to give you more money per mile.
That's what they're trying to change. That's not with the busing. The busing is under local control and governance.
So is there an item on local control and governance that?
No, we would actually be asking them to add one.
Okay.
We'd be creating one. They'd probably turn it down.
So your suggestion is that we talk about this at a future meeting and?
What I'd like to do is not just talk about it, but everyone got this form. I'd like them to fill it out, and so that we can combine our phrasing, our wording, so that it is a true representative of what this board wants, and then submit it.
For the busing, and if there's another one that we want to look
Whatever
at?
you, whatever you want, make copies of it.
Okay. Did we, I know that you and I had talked to Coolidge School District and Casa Grande School District, and they were going to also do a proposal for the busing mileage change. Have we followed up on that?
They have not submitted theirs yet.
Okay.
So it depends. I mean, the committee's going to take whatever they get. If multiple school districts send it in, I believe that they listed they list all of them on there.
So are we going to contact them?
I don't know if I have time, dear.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so.
It was Coolidge and Casa Grande?
Yes. And I can contact Casa Grande. If you want to contact TJ on the Coolidge School District. TJ Shoup.
All right, I will.
Okay, so we all have some homework, courtesy of Mrs. Coutray, and then we will reevaluate.
Thanks a lot,
at
Patty.
future meeting.
You're welcome.
Okay.
But we have a week.
You have a week. Yeah, what are you complaining about?
Is there any motions on item 7E? Hearing none, move on to 7F. Discuss and approve a Maricopa Unified School District legislative delegate and alternate to represent the board at the Arizona School Board Delegate Assembly.
Well, I would like to move that Patty continue to be our delegate just because she's already done it, and it's one of those things that you need to practice.
To get better.
Oh,
There's no substitute for experience.
That's right.
You know what that means.
You've learned so much.
You know what that means. You're still the alternate then.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion that Mrs. Coutray be our delegate and Mrs. Anderson our alternate.
Yeah, unless one of you want to do it.
Oh, no.
I'll move that.
Way down on my list. I second.
Yeah.
Seconded by Mr. Irving. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your vote of confidence.
7G, congratulations.
Oh,
by the way. Discuss all the applause tonight and not any for this wonderful selection.
Thank you.
Discuss and modify dates selected at the March 14, 2012 Governing Board meeting for a special study session to review and discuss Governing Board goals. This was put back on the agenda because of a member had a conflict which has since been resolved. So unless there's another conflict or anyone else has any questions or desire to change it.
Is that still good?
No, I'm fine, yeah.
We don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted, are we going to discuss just the goals, or are we going to discuss?
We can only talk about the date with this agenda item right now. So
I was just asking for clarification about why we're even having the meeting.
It's to set goals.
When's April 4th, what time?
Same time, wasn't it?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, okay.
Here.
Here.
So if there's no motion to change, then we'll move on to number 8. Adjournment. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Irving, second by Mrs. Anderson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
7:10.
carries. Meeting adjourned at 7:10. Thank you all very much.
Okay.
Drive safely.
April 4th is my son's birthday.
I don't know what we're going to do at this meeting.
We don't,